straight into it. Oh, 10-minute intro. Straight into it. We're moving fast. I said last week I might go back and look at like my previous notes and do a character profile on Randall Spector
Mm-hmm.
after we found out that his brother may not exist in the Marvel world. It depends if they've actually kept him dead.
Yeah.
And while I was right, there was some good stuff there to discuss. He actually is very different in the comics.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's just run through this. So they grew up together, obviously, they're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But Mark always outperformed Randall.
Okay.
So Mark was the older sibling, but Randall could never meet Mark's levels.
Okay.
Mark just outperformed him in everything, which made him the favourite child. And this kind of continued into adulthood as well, because Mark went in to join the military, Randall followed him, and they worked together a lot, but Mark was always better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they left the military, and they became mercenaries together once again. And then on a mission in Egypt, Randall decided that he was going to double cross people, and then Mark's love interest at the time, Lisa Maloney, caught Randall trying to pull off the double cross, and he killed her.
Oh.
Mark then hunted Randall for 2 days and nights straight before basically killing him with a grenade. The way the article is written, I believe originally he did kill him with the grenade, and then they retconned it.
Okay.
Because the exact quote was, blowing him up and mangling, leaving him nearly dead. So clearly in the comic when it originally happened, they were like, okay, cool, he's dead, he's been blown up. And then like a couple of years later, they're like, oh, we should bring Randall back. Let's just say he nearly died.
Yeah.
He then, after recovering from his grenade injury with a fractured psyche, which, I mean, clearly based on what already happened throughout his life, wasn't that great anyway, but had got a lot worse, he became a serial killer who hunted down nurses and slaughtered them.
Okay. Very
I
specific.
couldn't really find any context as to why it was nurses he killed. I think it might have something to do with the character of the night nurse, but that might just be me looking for links that aren't there. But it was very specific that he hunted down nurses.
Interesting.
He then, after a little spree as a serial killer, decided to become a mercenary again because I assume there's more money in it. And while he was out working as a mercenary in Egypt, he actually came across Mark again. This time, it was the mission where Mark would die and become Moon Knight. So, again, I assume this is a retcon. But essentially, the mercenaries that left Mark and his team for dead, Randall was on that team but had been separated from them, which is why I assume it's a retcon. And Randall then arrived as Mark was resurrected and became Moon Knight.
Right.
Randall then went skulking around these tombs and found parchment that were records and like, what do you call it? Like stories, but prophecies. That's the word, prophecies. Basically saying that there's a second Khonshu.
Okay.
But this second Khonshu only gains their power by killing the other.
Sus.
Randall saw similarities in this dynamic between the Khonshus and him and Mark, which then made Randall decide he was going to try and fight Mark, kill Mark. After that, it gets very comic booky. And what I mean by that is difficult to follow with lots of shenanigans. And this is one of the few character profiles I've done where I'm reading the story and I'm going, I can see that's a retcon and that's a retcon and that's a retcon. Because he starts working with a particular woman, and what they do is they steal a homeless man. They give him surgery to make him look like Randall.
Okay.
They brainwash him into thinking he's Randall and release him as a serial killer
Okay.
until Mark fights him and kills him, believing that Randall is dead finally.
Right.
And then a few years later, Randall and this woman actually turn up because, surprise, Randall was never dead. It was all fake. Yeah. So like you can see
Yeah, I
that
see what you mean.
there's definitely some good stuff there that Marvel can piece together to create a really interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the Randall Spector character profile that I almost gave but didn't because I didn't think it would matter, and now feel like an umpty for not giving.
Well, we got here eventually.
Hey, yeah, we got here eventually. It saved me having to come up with one for this week.